All right, so get ready because today we're going deep into some pretty wild territory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're checking out this YouTube video from
This
Pastor Jerry Eze's channel. It's called Strange Acts of God, 21st December 2024. It's like this weekly testimony show where people share these stories of what they say are like divinely driven medical reversals.
Wow.
And they actually have a consultant urologic surgeon, Dr. Paul Unu, right there on the show giving his take on things.
It's always fascinating, to look at how these stories of healing,
Right.
often presented as miraculous, sort of intersect with like what we know about the human body and the whole idea of the power of belief.
Totally. And the range of these testimonies is kind of mind-blowing. We're talking marital settlements,
Oh, wow.
a baby cured of a vomiting syndrome, ovarian and brain cancer reversals,
Wow.
an 18-year asthma case gone poof, even someone who says they were saved from a plane crash.
That's a lot.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Where do we even start with all this?
Well, why don't we jump right into one of the cases that really stood out to me? Mr. Patrick from the USA. He talks about this condition he had called Peyronie's syndrome.
Peyronie's syndrome, yeah.
Even Mr. Patrick in the video kind of stumbled over the pronunciation.
It is a bit of a tongue twister.
So what exactly is this? Is it like just regular back pain?
Not quite. It does involve the sciatic nerve, the big one that runs down your leg.
Right.
But it gets compressed by a specific muscle in your buttock,
Okay.
the piriformis muscle. That's where the pain comes from.
And in the video, Mr. Patrick says that this intense pain just hit him out of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah, he went to bed fine and woke up in agony. What would cause that kind of sudden onset?
Well, that's part of the mystery with Peyronie syndrome. In many cases, the trigger is never really clear. Could be sleeping position, the type of mattress you have,
Yeah.
even your walking style, just everyday things that suddenly lead to this intense pain.
Wow, so you could just be walking around 1 minute and bam, debilitating pain.
Exactly.
And for Mr. Patrick, it got so bad he needed walking aids to get around. Yeah, it can be really debilitating. Which makes his story even more interesting when you think about how doctors usually approach Peyronie's.
Right.
Typically, we manage the pain with medication.
Okay.
Muscle relaxants, pain relievers, that sort of thing.
Makes sense.
We might recommend physiotherapy to target the affected area.
Right.
And in some cases, we might even use injections, steroids, or even Botox sometimes
Oh, wow.
to reduce the inflammation and the tension in that piriformis muscle.
So is this condition usually reversible?
Yeah.
And so how long does recovery typically take?
In most cases, it is reversible, but it's not a quick fix.
Okay.
Even with medical treatment, it can take days or even weeks to see real improvement. The body needs time to heal.
But what's so striking about Mr. Patrick's testimony is that he says the moment he heard Pastor Eze mention his condition on the live stream, he stopped all medical treatment and boom, instant healing.
That's where these testimonies push us to think outside the box of conventional medicine.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, given how severe his case was, needing 2 walking aids.
Yeah.
To have such a sudden and complete recovery, it's really unusual from a purely medical perspective.
Okay, so let's switch gears for a minute and talk about Mrs. Gloria from the UK.
Okay.
Her story is about her son, Michael, who struggled with asthma for 18 years.
Wow.
And what really got me was that she didn't just focus on Michael's struggles.
Yeah.
She really described how it impacted the whole family.
It's important to remember that chronic conditions like asthma, they don't just affect the individual, they affect their whole support system.
Right.
The constant worry, the fear of an attack,
Yeah.
the limitations it puts on you, it all takes its toll.
Definitely. Mrs. Gloria had to ask Michael to leave the house every time she cooked
Really?
because even a little smoke would trigger his asthma.
Wow.
She talked about the constant fear of attacks, the frantic ambulance trips.
Oh, my goodness.
Michael being terrified to even fall asleep because he thought he might not wake up.
That's heartbreaking.
Imagine living with that kind of anxiety for 18 years.
And then she shared that detail about Michael never truly experiencing fresh air.
Oh, yeah.
It really hits you how limiting and isolating this condition can be.
It's really sad, but then Michael goes to one of Pastor Eze's conferences.
Okay.
And according to Mrs. Gloria, he's completely and suddenly healed.
Interesting.
She talked about this one really intense night.
Yeah, what happened?
So Michael woke up at 2:30 in the morning,
Oh, no.
struggling to breathe, absolutely terrified he was going to die.
Oh, gosh. And in that moment, Mrs. Gloria, with her faith, she decided to do something that some people might find a little strange.
Yeah.
She didn't call an ambulance.
It's like she just knew that something else was happening, something beyond what doctors could do.
Right. Instead of calling for help, she just started praying really hard for Michael to be healed.
Wow.
And then Get this, she said she felt like she was being guided to find a specific prayer by Pastor Eze.
Okay.
But it was even from a recent sermon or video.
Really?
It was from like 2 years before, back in 2021, about breathing problems.
That's wild. It makes you think about these prayers. Maybe they have power, even across time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So after 45 minutes of this intense prayer, Michael wakes up and he can breathe.
Wow.
But it doesn't end there. Later that week, he goes to the gym, gets on the treadmill, and just blows everyone away. Even the instructor had no idea Michael had ever had asthma.
That's incredible.
And then, of course, there's the follow-up appointment with his regular doctors, a Muslim and a Christian doctor,
Oh, wow.
for an asthma review. I thought that was interesting because it shows that even people with different beliefs were involved.
Yeah, for sure.
They do a peak flow test, the one that measures how much air you can blow out.
Right.
And remember, Michael could barely get a reading of 20 before.
Yeah.
But after the conference, he blows a 650 and then a 700. The doctors were like, what is going on? They even thought he might have messed with the machine.
That's crazy. So the same doctors who treated him for years, seeing how bad his asthma was, are now saying he's asthma-free.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder about what's possible, right?
It really does.
Mrs. Gloria's faith and determination through all of this is just so inspiring. She never gave up on prayer, even when things seemed impossible.
It's a powerful story.
Okay, so we have 2 more testimonies to talk about, and they're both about these amazing recoveries.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first one is from Mrs. Kiyozoka, whose 6-year-old son was diagnosed with brain cancer.
Oh, no.
And it had spread to his spine and cerebrospinal fluid. It's a story that really shows what families go through when they face these diagnoses.
That's unimaginable.
And there's this similarity between Mrs. Kiyozoka's story and Mrs. Gloria's.
Oh, what's that?
They both heard Pastor Eze talk about a different condition, but they both felt like the prayer was meant for their child. And in both cases, their kids were later declared healed. It makes you think about intuition and faith.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And then there's Mrs. Aratuku's testimony. She was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer and was even put on palliative care.
Wow.
She was told by several doctors, one in the UK even, that there was no hope.
That's devastating.
Imagine being told your time is limited and there's nothing medicine can do. But instead of giving up, she found comfort and strength in prayer.
It's amazing how people find strength in such difficult times.
Her journey from that point of complete hopelessness to finding joy and strength in her faith is so powerful.
It really is.
And then there's this incredible part where a total stranger paid for her to go to Egypt for a PET scan, and it showed that she was healed.
That's a beautiful act of kindness.
These stories are just unbelievable.
Yeah, they really make you think.
There's this common thread running through all of them, this strong belief in prayer and the importance of sharing these stories with others. What do you make of all this?
Well, it's definitely fascinating. While medical science is important for understanding health and healing, these stories suggest that there might be things at work that we don't fully get.
Right.
Like Pastor Eze says in the video, is any man afflicted? Let him pray. It's a strong message that makes us think about the role of faith and belief in our own lives, no matter what we believe.
Yeah, it's true. There's something about looking for comfort and hope in something bigger than ourselves, especially when we're facing really tough challenges. It makes you wonder, right? If there's more to healing than we can even measure with science.
Yeah, it does. And it's interesting to think about how these stories might hit people differently.
Yeah, sure.
Some might find them super inspiring, while others might be a bit skeptical.
Exactly. And I think that's totally fine. It's not about convincing anyone of anything.
Right.
It's more about making people think and reflect.
Mm-hmm.
So what do these stories make you think about what connects with your own experiences and beliefs?
Yeah, that's the key takeaway here, I think.
Yeah.
Even when things seem really dark, there's always hope.
Mm-hmm.
These people were going through such tough situations where they felt like they had no options left.
Right.
But they found strength and resilience in their faith, and that led them to healing.
It's like that quote from the video, "Is any man afflicted? Let him pray."
Yeah, powerful stuff.
It's like a call to action. Try tapping into a power that might be there for all of us, no matter what our background is.
And it reminds us that healing can look different for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not always about a physical cure.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about finding peace,
Right.
acceptance, and feeling connected to something bigger.
This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive,
It really has.
exploring these stories of healing and the power of belief. We've gone from the depths of despair to the heights of hope,
Yeah, we have.
seeing how strong the human spirit can be and how much faith can impact people's lives.
These testimonies give us a peek into a world where the impossible seemed to happen,
Yeah.
They make us question what we think we know and stay open to the mysteries out there.
If you found these stories as mind-blowing as we did, I encourage you to check out more of Pastor Eze's ministry. Listen to more testimonies, see what speaks to you.
And most importantly, keep asking questions, keep exploring, keep searching. There's always more to discover.
That's right. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the extraordinary. We'll see you next time.